So we are now almost towards the end of the fourth chapter, Jnana Karma Sanyasa Yoga. In the last two sessions, mainly we were discussing the topic of yajna, the spirit of yajna or yajna. The real spirit of yajna lies in the self-sacrifice, lies in the service orientation, and also lies in the attitude to offer the best efforts for the greater good. So three aspects are there. Selfless sacrifice. Why we should do selfless sacrifice? Because everything that we get, directly, indirectly, is a part of the sacrifice of others. When I say others, including animals, plants, the nature is designed like that. So the spirit of yajna lies in three aspects: the spirit of self-sacrifice, the spirit of service orientation. What can I do rather than what will I get? And the best efforts for the greater good. So that is where the selfishness will automatically go when we think beyond ourselves, how my deeds can benefit the greater good. In Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, Bhagavan Bhashyagaran Adi Shankara Bhagavad comments or describes yajnam as a practice to purify the mind. In Bhagavan Bhashyagaran's language, it's called as Antakarana Shuddhi. This is a kind of a stepping stone for success and happiness. If the mind is kalushidam, where the happiness will come? Happiness will never come. Yeah, right. So that is where the clarity and purity in the mind, Antakarana Shuddhi. So that is where Bhagavan says you do the karma to ensure that the Antakarana Shuddhi happens. That is where karma as karma yoga. When we say karma yogam, the spirit of yajna is implied in karma yoga. So when we execute yajnam with that spirit, the selfless sacrifice, service orientation and best efforts for the greater good, automatically the Antakarana Shuddhi happens. That implicitly dissolves the anxiety that we have in life, that anxiety that could come when we do the karma. So in the second chapter, Bhagavan mentioned about you being the nimitta rather than just focusing or worrying about the outcomes. You just focus on excellence in action itself rather than observing the fruits of the actions, rather than worrying about the fruits of the actions that we do. So then what happens? The focus is shifted to the excellence in action. That is where the mind becomes very sharp. The mind becomes intensely focused because there is no drift from the present to future or past. What will happen? No. What I am going to do, what I am able to do. So this dissolves the anxiety, the performance anxiety. Not only that, the Yajna Bhavam is all about sacrifice, the selfless sacrifice. That is where the element of collaboration comes. So because Yajna is a collective endeavor. Right? So what one will see is basically the efforts and its impact as a part of the bigger ecosystem. Sun shining and giving the light. Every one of us is getting benefit. So how can I put my effort so that the impact is going to influence a bigger set of people, the bigger ecosystem? That is where the collaborative mindset comes. Yajna was a collective endeavor. Not only that, it reduces the stress in us, the mental fatigue. See, what happens when we constantly think about outcomes, whether I will get the real attention, what will I get, how it is gonna be. So that is where the mind becomes very, it goes into a state of fatigue, because the play of ego is there. Ego is consistently thinking about what can I expect, how it would be. So the mental fatigue will go away because the ego is not much worrying about those expectations. Ego is not trying to guard our pride. Ego is not trying to chase the results, because the focus is in the present. So dedicate our actions to a higher purpose or a larger cause. This mindset will shield the stress that can come out of the karma. The anxiety and the burnout that can come out of the karma will be shielded by the mindset of yajna, so called as collectivism, so called as selfless execution, so called as big picture thinking. See, otherwise also, if you look around, the yajna suggests that or shows that everything around us operates on a principle of exchange as well as offering. Right? So, in another simple way, yajna is all about living with the existence. What is there around us? How that existence, how that ecosystem is designed. Just live with that. Just live with the existence rather than going against it. In the third chapter, if you all recollect this, in the third chapter, beginning of Karma Yoga, in the 9th verse, Bhagavan says, Yajnarthat karmanonyatra logoyam karma bandhana. Yajna arthad karmana anyatra logoyam karma bandhana. Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samajara. See, the world is bound by actions. Unless action is performed as yajna. Yajnarthat karmanonyatra logoyam karma bandhana. This logam is always bringing the karma bandhanam. So how you can come out of the karma bandhanam? Just executing karma with the yajna mindset. And this is not only in the Indian culture or in the Sanatana Dharma. If you see the Greek philosophy, the Plato's concept of eros. Eros is basically what? It is the force. It is the force that drives the soul upward. Giving or living in the pursuit of good so that the soul will move upward. This is the concept of eros in the Greek philosophy, Plato's philosophy. And if you see any tradition, any culture, we can see the same or a similar insight. Why this kind of influencing of yajna or try to live in the pursuit of the good and betterment of a broader set of people and things. Why this kind of an insight emerges in different cultures? The reason is very simple. The ordinary human tendency is basically to contract or converge to the ego's selfishness, right? This is the normal human tendency. What can I accumulate? How will I protect? How can I ensure that my assets are safe, right? How will I claim myself as separate? How will I preserve my individuality? So every tradition has identified this kind of a contraction. And please be mindful that this contraction or this kind of selfishness is the root of suffering. Every tradition has understood that. So that is where the Gita stresses that the spirit of yajna is the only antidote, is the only medicine. What is that antidote helping in? A movement towards the expansion of that individuality. That is the movement, that is the expansion. How that expansion happens? Through offerings with the dedication, so that the deep rooted ego will disappear. That deep rooted ego will disappear in what? It will disappear in the true self. So when the ego disappears, ego merges in that self, what will happen is basically the boundary between the real self and world becomes permeable. It becomes transparent. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, in the Shikshavalli, the verse comes, Om Brahmavid Apnoti Param Tadeshabhyukta Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma Yo Veda Nihidam Guhayam Parame Vyoman So Ashnude Sarvan Kaman Brahmana Vipaschitedi Brahmavid Apnoti Param Tadeshabhyukta Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma and Yo Veda Nihidam Guhaya, in the deepest cave or in the heart of everyone, the truth is shining, and the nature of the truth is Satyam Jnanam Anandam. And the knower of this truth attains that truth. The knower of Brahman attains the highest, that Brahman itself. And that truth is, what is the form, the Brahman? We cannot say these are the qualities or attributes. Satyam Jnanam Anandam. Truth. Satyam is truth. Jnanam is knowledge. Anandam is infinite. What is truth? Truth is something that will never change. Satyam. Jnanam. Jnanam is what? Jnanam is all about the pure consciousness, the awareness. Awareness of what? Awareness on the very nature of ourself. That is the jnana. This is the self-knowledge. Satyam is what? That truth will never change. Avastatraya Sakshi. That is the Sakshi of the universe, the entire universe. That never changes. The universal law never changes. And the knowledge that I am the pure consciousness, Aham Brahmasmi. And Satyam Jnanam Anandam. Anandam is basically what? Anandam is something that is without the boundary. That cannot be bounded with space, time, object, causation. So what is the ahvanam? What is the declaration that Shruti is giving to us? You are that Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. But our limited mind and ego is saying that I am limited. So here the declaration is that you are beyond all the limitations. The Brahman that is within us, we are that. That very self, Nihidam Guhayam Parame Vyoman. So you are the embodiment of Satyam Jnanam Anandam, truth, knowledge, and infinite. That never changes. You are that awareness without any boundaries. Parame Vyoman Nihidam Guhaya. That very self within. This is we cannot say these are the attributes, but for the sake of understanding, we can say. And what is the supreme output or outcome? That realization. And when that realization can happen, is it something like it should happen after some time? Is it going to be a future event? No, because this is not something that we have to learn or earn or get it from outside. What is really needed is the recognition. Recognize. Recognize what? Recognize that which is already within us. The infinite consciousness, that self, that reality. That reality, we are that reality. You understand that, you recognize that. So, attaining is all about what? Now you may think I have to catch hold of that. Attaining is not catching hold of something. Attaining is all about removing the ignorance of the limitations. The limitations are there. Limitations are at the plane of body, mind, intellect, senses. So, clarity in what is limited, what is not limited. Clarity in who truly am I. I cannot be the changing body, mind, intellect, senses. So, and this removal of ignorance is not something like I will go for a journey at some age. No, this has to happen now. Removal of ignorance. It is not at some other place. It is not something like we have to go for a journey. We have to go for a pilgrimage. No. Yado vacho nivartande aprapya manasasaha. Anandam brahmano vidwan na bibhedi kadachaneti. In the Radhasmarana Stotram also we have seen Manasa Vajasam Agamyam, speech and mind. It is beyond the comprehension of this. Because the speech and mind are vikaras, meaning they are or they undergo the modifications. They are the products. Products meaning what? When we mix something, you get something. And when you do the mixing in different way, you get a different product. So speech and mind, yado vacho nivartande aprapya manasasaka. They cannot catch hold of this truth. Because they are the modifications, they are the vikar. And when we say the modifications, because it is produced. It is produced, and something which is produced will operate within the realm of a name, form, and causality. So now, what is the real cause for the speech, mind, etc.? That self. That self is the cause of all causes. Prior to any object, this self is the cause of everything. And we have seen all yajnas, different forms of yajnas we discussed, still we are discussing in today's session also. Many and varied yajnas are placed for what? To know the truth within us. So today Bhagavan is concluding these different yajnas. Verse number 32 we will see. Evam bahuvida yajna vidada brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhitan sarvan evam nyatva vimokshase. Evam bahuvida. See, all these different yajnas, they all are, they what is the right interpretation? Knowing these yajnas to be born of karmas. So, and the karma meaning what? Again, they all are the anatma. Evam bahuvida yajna vidada brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhi tan sarvan evam nyatva vimokshase. Knowing you will be liberated. So all these are born of karma. You understand that, Arjuna. So in this manner I explain many and varied types of yajnam, and when you understand that these yajnas to be born of karmas, and karma means basically what? Karma means a product, and what is the subject behind the karma is the self. So these karmas are the products executed, and the karma technically is anatma, and what is behind the karmam, that is the atma. When you know that, you will automatically get liberated. So different yajnas we have seen, right, in the last few sessions. Sense restraint as a yajna, yamam, niyamam, damam, shamam, uparati, many things, ashtanga yoga, all those things we have seen. Breath control, pranayama as a yajnam, wealth as a yajnam, right? Dravya yajnam, tabo yajnam, yoga yajnam, swadhyaya yajnam, different yajnams we have seen. Knowledge as a yajnam. So now Bhagavan says all of these are valid paths, right? These paths are like different doors for us to enter, different doors for us to get freedom. But one critical aspect that we have to understand here is they all are born of actions. Karmajam. Karmajan vidhi karmajam. They all are born of actions. So any practice, please understand that, is a form of doing. And all doing is anatma. Any action is anatma because it's a product. And cannot get perfection out of the actions, correct? Because they are at the plane of body, mind, intellect, senses. They all are limited. And from where the action originates, that is what we have to understand. Vidada brahmano mukhe. All actions emanate from the source. The source is the Brahman, the self. So now we need to understand this in this sense. Any action that is born out of karmajam or anatma, there is an atma behind every action. Every action should take us to the source, connect with the core. Every finite action arises from the infinite. This understanding we should have. Whenever we do any action, connect with the infinite, connect with the core, because that core is responsible for us to act. So when we hold on to it and go back to the source, we will reach the infinite, though we are doing a finite karma. And whereas if we hold only to the actions, if we are lost in the actions, if we are lost only in the world, then it becomes a burnout. So that is where the ego never allows the mind to connect to the center. The ego never allows an individual to connect to the core, because ego is ignorant. Ignorance is prevailing there. So Bhagavan here says, a lot of yajnas I prescribe, it doesn't mean that one is superior than other and all. They all are different ways. So but what matters is the spirit of offering and connecting to the source. When you say idam na mama, it is not mine. The ego is not offering anything. So connect to the source of who is making the action to happen. So any path you can choose, no issue. Any yajna you can choose. See, there comes a beautiful story of a Shishya and Guru. The student asked the Guru, which is the best practice? Is it the prayer, yajna in the form of prayer, or in the form of meditation, or in the form of fasting, or in the form of service? Which is the best one? So there the Guru places 4 lamps, chirad, in front of the Shishya and asks, now you tell me which gives the best light. So in the first attempt, the Shishya sees 4 lights are there. Okay, all 4 are giving good light. But the Guru asked which one gives the best light. So again, ask the Shishya to look upon all the 4 lights again. Now you look deeply and figure out which one gives the best light. Now the student responds that lamp which is filled with oil in the right amount shines the best. Be careful. That lamp which is filled with oil in the right amount shines the best. So what is really important? Is the path important? The path that you keep with oil. What is oil here? Oil is sadhana. Oil is basically the capability to maintain. Any path is fine. But are we able to sustain it? Don't look at others' path. Oh, they all are following that. Let me also follow that. Your path need not be looked or compared with another one's path. Logically speaking, Bhagavad Gita is saying you eat well, you exercise well, you meditate well, you fast, you breathe deeply, you do karma yoga, you execute prayers, do things in a sustained manner. This is the real wellness. No rocket science. And this is what Bhagavad Gita is prescribing. the prescription of wellness for the modern world. We can say this prescription was given 5,000 years back, where most of us have not figured it out properly. You can do any, or you can follow any path. So, Shreyan, next verse, Shreyan Drivyamayad Yajnad Jnana Yajna Parantapa Sarvam Karmahilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyade Shreyan Drivyamayad Yajnad Jnana Yajna Parantapa. O Arjuna, the yajna of knowledge, Jnana Yajna, means superior. Shreyan is superior compared to the other disciplines performed with materials. Dravya Mayad Yajnat Jnana Yajna Parandava. Oh Arjuna, please understand that the yajna of knowledge is superior to any material yajna. And Sarvam Karmakilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyade. All actions in their entirety culminate in knowledge. What is that knowledge? The knowledge of the self. So, any yajna, maybe it's a Dravya yajna or any other yajna, you offer them in the center. In the center meaning in the fire of aham, not the ahankaram. So, any yajnam that you do, you offer that in the center, in the aham. So, this is jnana yajnam. So, the reward of yajnam is basically what? The reward of yajnam is freedom from the unwanted weight of ego, the unwanted weight of selfishness, the unwanted weight of distractions. So, linking the actions to the core. What is the reason behind any action to get executed? With that understanding, you dedicate the actions in the center, in the aham. Among all forms of yajna, the jnana yajna is good. And you dedicate, you burn the ego through the fire of knowledge. You can start with any offering, material offering, or in the beginning also Bhagavan mentioned, all those are mainly for purifying the mind. But what is the crux of the matter is that knowledge which is there within us is the only secret that we have to understand. That only will transform our inner life at its root. So all action, you can follow anything. You can find fulfillment. Ultimately, what is the real fulfillment? That self-realization is the fulfillment. Sarvam karma jnane parisamapyade. So where it fulfills, where it gets the completion, where it gets the cessation, in that knowledge. What is that knowledge? In that self-knowledge. So what happens is basically when we operate with this understanding, we will not be drifting away from the center. But if you don't have this understanding, all actions will create a gap. All actions will create a drift from the center, create a drift from that consciousness, create a drift from that self. So that is where, hey Arjuna, you bring back the yajna. This is a big advice to all of us. You bring back the yajna so that you will be able to connect to that center. and the ego will dissolve in that root, that ego will dissolve in that self, ego will dissolve in that source. These disciplines are only some sort of a means, not an end. So what is the real important aspect? Jnana Yajnam is the only thing that will help us. So Jnana Yajnam is basically Sreyan. That is leading to the path of Shreyas. That is leading to the path of freedom. Verse number 34. Tadvidhi pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Tadvidhi pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshina. So knowledge is superior. So then you have to get equipped with this knowledge. So what one should do? By prostrating, by asking right proper questions, by serving a guru, by serving a wise person who have got the vision of the truth, that person will teach you this knowledge. That Vyakti will teach you this knowledge. And don't think that Vyakti, that Guru is just a person. It may not be. That Guru can come in the form of anything. That Lord will decide. But in this case, what is really needed? Pranipadena, you need to have humility by prostrating. Yeah, that is where the humility is needed. Humility meaning what? Surrendering the ego, because ego will defend. Tadvidhi pranipadena. You please understand that pariprasnena, pranipadena, pariprasnena meaning you sincerely asking questions, not to question the Guru's knowledge, not to debate or challenge, sincere questioning to understand. So pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya, service to that teacher, service to the guide, service to the Guru. And who is the Guru? Guru is a Tattvadarshi, the one who has seen the truth, the one who has not theorized the truth, one who just read some scripture. No, the one who realized the truth, realized the truth within. And why this verse is coming? Because Bhagavan says that this is the authentic way, this is the Sampradaya. That's where the Gurukula Sampradayam has got more value, because learning from the Guru, being with the Guru. So what is important here? At this point of time, we cannot go to Gurukulam, but here take Guru as Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavan Krishna. What are the three things we need? Pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya. That Guru, that Lord will teach us. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. So through humility, through proper inquiry, when you say humility, the humbleness to gain this knowledge, towards that the prayer that we offer, so that we get the kripa. So when you say again the humbleness, the bhakti, then the inquiry attitude, asking the questions, meaning the mananam. So when you do the mananam, you will get authentic questions, and ask that Guru. So in this Sampradayam, Shravana, Manana, Dhyanam, through the Manana, Dhyanam, the clarity can come. That Guru will ensure that you get the answers for the questions. Not only that, the Sevaya, having the right attitude to do the Yajna Bhavam in life. This is the Sampradaya. So in the Mundaka Upanishad, the verse is Pariksha Logan Karmachidan Brahmano Nirvedamayad Nasti Akritakridena Tad Vijnanartham Sa Guru Me Bhavi Gached Samitvani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So the attributes of a Guru should be Shrotriyan and Brahmanishtam. Guru should be well versed in the scriptural studies, Shrotriyan. Second is Brahmanishtan, the one who is firmly established in that Brahman, the one who is firmly established in the self, the one who is firmly established in the self-knowledge. Nasti akritakridena tatvijnanartham. So no amount of action can realize that self. Karma is basically finite. Until and unless you link the karma to the core, because the core is the reason behind any finite karma. So you learn from a Guru who is a Shrotriyan and Brahmanishtan. What is needed? Samitpani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Here also Pranivadena Pariprasnena Sevaya. Complete humility. And that Guru will show you the direction. That Guru is called as Deshikan. That Guru will also trigger the seeds for the self-knowledge. But when I say trigger the seeds, create one to think and introspect. And what is the nature of the Guru? Guru is a Tattvadarshi. So that Guru, by showing direction, trigger seeds and ultimately ensure that the Shishya will also reach to the same level of Guru. The Shishya will also realize the truth. Shishya will also reach to the same level of Guru. Verse number 35. Yad jnatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhudanya sheshani Drakshasyatmanyadhomayi yad jnatva na puna moham evam yasasi pandava yena bhudani asheshani drakshasi atmani adhomayi. Having obtained this knowledge, O Arjuna, you shall not again fall into the delusion. By this knowledge, yad jnatva, knowing this, na puna moham, the delusion will not come. By this knowledge, you shall see all beings in yourself and also in me. Yasasi Pandava yena bhudani asheshani drakshasi atmani adhomayi. In me and in others, in this manner, you will see and you will also come out of this delusion, hey Pandava. So this is a perpetual shift. Knowledge will never go. Ignorance will never come back. Your moham will go. Punar moham evam. Moham is what? Moham meaning mistaking appearance for reality, mistaking objects as the truth, mistaking body, mind, intellect, sense as the truth, mistaking appearance for reality, seeing the false as true, seeing temporary as permanent, seeing body, mind, intellect, senses as my own self, seeing my possessions as a security, seeing my success as an identity. So you will come out of the moham, and this is a perpetual freedom. This is a perpetual shift. See, one farmer, he was walking back from the field in the dim light, maybe around this time, around 7 o'clock. While coming back to home, he sees a coiled snake in his path, and he got really afraid. And in that terror, he really got afraid, saw the snake. That's where his clever neighbor comes with a lamp and reveals that there is nothing, it's an old rope. The snake never existed, but you have to see the fear of the farmer. And that fear was real at that point. This is adhyasam, this is called a superimposition. In the place of a rope, the snake came out of fear, out of adhyasam. Who created? The mind created. The mind projected the snake onto the rope. Similarly, the mind always projects the limitations. The mind projects the mortality. Mind projects the fearful identity. Though the core is infinite, Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Similarly, the boundless awareness. The boundless awareness is the core, but what is happening? The mind is projecting that limited, mortal, fearful identity. And like the neighbor who got the light and the snake disappeared, similarly, the moment the light comes, the jnana comes, the ignorance of the mind will disappear. Then what remains? The clarity about the self. So what will clear these imperfections? Only knowledge of the self. Verse number 36. Abhichedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakrittamaha sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrajinam sandarishyasi. Abhiched papebhya sarvebhya papakrittamaha sarvam jnana plavena eva vrajinam sandarishyasi. So even if you are the most sinful of all sinners, you will cross over all issues by the boat of knowledge. Here it is sarvam jnana plavena. Okay, through the raft of knowledge, eva vrajinam sandirishyasi. So you will be able to cross all the papa. See, in Sanatana Dharma, there is nothing like papam or sin. See, here the term sin or papam is referred as the accumulated karmic weight. Accumulated karmic weight in the form of ragam, dvesham, kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam. Or we can say the density of unconscious conditioning, or the patterns that we create, or the ego linking this conditioning or patterns with the history. This is the sin. There is nothing like an outside sin. The sin is basically what? The accumulation of the karma bandhana, karmic weight, in the form of ragam, dvesham, kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, conditioning, the patterns that we create. That is the sin here. You all must be knowing the story of Valmiki Maharshi, Ratnakara. Once he was a rover who, terrorized the travelers, the travelers who go through the road. Ratnakara meets the sage Narada and asked, or I think Narada Muni, sage Narada asked, see, you are doing this kind of, looting. Would your family share the sins of your wrongdoings? Will they share your earnings? I'll go home and check with them. Okay, go ask them and come back. Ratnakara goes home and asks his family, this is what I do, and will you share these earnings? The immediate answer is no. So that's where at that moment the knowledge came in Ratnakara. What is that knowledge? I am alone in my karma. I alone must seek truth in life. That's where Ratnakara sits in the meditation. Meditated for many years, so long that an anthill grew him, and that is where the transformation happening, right? Emerged, transformed as sage Valmiki. So why I said this story is basically the term sin. Sin is basically the kalangams, the karma vasanas, the impurities. In the modern life, the world is living in the social comparison and all the past history or the trauma. That's where Bhagavan says, whatever past, whatever history you have, don't worry. The boat of knowledge will carry everyone to that self-knowledge. Yadeidamsi samidhokni bhasmasat kurute Arjuna Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tada yadha edhamsi samidhi agni bhasmasat kurute Arjuna Jnana agni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tada. So, like a blazing fire reduces wood to ashes, similarly, Arjuna, the fire of knowledge, reduces all karma to ashes. Sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tada. So, fire, will the fire negotiate with the wood? Can the wood negotiate in front of fire? So, here, the knowledge is the fire. So can the ignorance negotiate in front of the knowledge? So the ignorance of doership, raga, dvesha, kartrutva, bhoktrutvam, can they negotiate in front of the fire of self-knowledge? No. So the three karmas, sanjidam, agami and prarabdha. Sanjidam meaning gathered and still valid, which is there in the kitty. Agami is something that you will gather while doing the karma, while executing this life. And that is where the knowledge comes. Both Sanjidam, which is already there, and the Agami, which are going to come, will reduce to ashes by the Jnanam. And what will happen to Prarabdham? Prarabdham will somehow get exhausted. You are not getting affected. As long as the physical body, mind, and senses continue, the person will lead a life of a Jivan Mukta. So with the knowledge, what happens is basically one will be able to come out of the delusion. One will be able to see the Aikya Darshanam, meaning Jiva Paramatma Aikya. One will be able to undergo the killing of ignorance and ego, Sarva Papa Nasham. And one will also see the Sarva Karma Nasham, as per this verse. Will get rid of the impurities and stains. So the Prarabdham will get exhausted. Sanjidam will get destroyed out of the knowledge, out of the self-knowledge. And Agami will also get avoided. So Sanjidam gets exhausted. Prarabdham will get exhausted. Sanjidam will get destroyed. Agami will get avoided. So Jnanam will insulate a Jnani in Prarabdham, because Prarabdham we cannot change. Whatever is destined to happen will come, but one will not get affected if there is self-knowledge. So karmam cannot bind an individual as long as the ego is not there. Karmam can bind an individual if there is ego. And what is the play of ego? Ego thinks that I am the author of everything. So with the self-knowledge, that ego will get dissolved. So that self-knowledge is like, or if you say the ego as an author of a book. With the self-knowledge, the author will get disappeared. Then it becomes a wide knowledge. The book is open. Where is the question of ego playing there? So the Prarabdham will continue till it gets exhausted. Sanjidam will get destroyed in this knowledge. Agami karma will get avoided in this knowledge. So Jnanagni sarva karmani phasmasat kurute tada. So the knowledge, the self-knowledge will remove the ignorance, so that the three karmas will not get affected. The influence of Sanjidam, Agami and Prarabdham will never get affected. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Shishyade. Om Shanti Shanti.